I chatted with a GPT AI today and gave it a poem I wrote to evaluate. It reviewed the tone and message akin to what I was taught in school. So much of society's decision-making is algorithm-based, so I asked it if AI could replace doctors. It said AI couldn't replace empathy and intuition. What does it mean to be human?
Well, I too have interacted with this AI. I think the same one. I find some of the interaction so robotic and pedantic as to be reassuring, and I found other elements of the interaction a little bit shocking. What does it mean to be human? I believe that's one of those questions that you could chase your tail on forever. It's not. Yes, we can come up with.
Well, I mean, there's an historical answer.
Yep.
Right? Like, what does it mean to be a Felis sylvestris or a Homo sapiens? Right? You know, there's a phylogenetic answer.
Yep, but there's nothing. Let's put it this way. Let's take your phylogenetic one and say that's going to be the answer. Okay.
I'm not saying it's the only. Obviously, that's not the only way to answer the question. But there is a way that is akin to answering, you know, what does it mean to be a horse?
Right. But I guess my point is, like with the definition of species, you can come up with a definition that contains something really good, but you can't come up with any definition that you can't do away with pretty easily, right? Is a dead human a human?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking for is the essence of humans, what makes a human special, it ain't contained in the dead human.
Well, but that's, I mean, you know, maybe you find this a pedantic thing then, but, you know, the question isn't what makes a human special, it's just what does it mean to be human?
Right.
And so I'm just saying that one answer is going to be a phylogenetic one, and that's not the question that's being asked, but that is one answer.
It is one answer, and we could do 20 others, and
I don't know if that's true. So, I mean, we could walk through all of the characters that various, which is phylogeny speak for characteristics, but, you know, the characters that various people have said is the thing that makes us different, right? It's language, it's tool use, it's war, it's empathy, it's, you know, theory of mind, it's, you know, it's tool, not just tool use, but tool making, you know, all of which are known in other species. So, you know, each one of these things has followed. But then, you know,
making a fire.
Wrangham, I was just going to say, Richard Wrangham famously, and he's not the only one, but has, you know, really codified the hypothesis around fire making as the thing that basically catapulted us into fully modern humanness. And no, as far as we know, no one else does make fire.
But I would say it's a pointless definition too. If you found something else that did make fire, it doesn't change anything about humans. So,
right.
So what I'm actually arguing is that this question has a particular status, or should have a particular status of questions that if you decide that it ought to be answerable, that you effectively take yourself out of the running to do something useful, right? It should be possible to define what a human being is. I think Heather's come up with the only definition that works, but it's not useful. It doesn't tell you anything about humans that matters. It would also be true of an ancestor of humans, you know, so early, you know, if you're using a lineage-based answer, then the point is you can come up with something that's so pre-human that you wouldn't call a human, and yet it's still part of the lineage.
Mm-hmm.
You can, you know, have a human born without a brain, and you know, so there's all kinds of technicalities you could throw at it. And the real point is, look, you have to kind of mature past this sort of question. You have to realize, and you know, we do this in a couple places. Speciation is a real and important concept. Species is not. Species is a fraught concept. Genetic is an important and real concept. Gene is a fraught and not very useful concept. So
totally,
it's going to be one of these things where the answer is, well, it sort of depends. Give me the context for which you want to understand what a human is, and then in some of those contexts, we'll be able to come up with a definition that's useful. But if you're...
Well, I mean, this question comes with context, then. This question comes with context in which the AI evaluated a poem written by a human, and reviewed the tone and message in a way that the poem writer was taught in school. Now, the fact that AI can be taught to do textual analysis in a similar manner as high school students can be taught to do textual analysis actually doesn't surprise me. And that doesn't strike me as necessarily putting us at any risk of feeling like, oh, AI is encroaching on humanness. So much of society's decision making is, I mean, depending on what the poem was, I guess, right? There are some poems that could be so abstract and so deeply about, human emotion and connection that might make me rethink that answer. But so much of our decision making is algorithm based. True, this is to our detriment at this point. Too many people are relying on algorithms and authorities to make their decisions for them, to relying on hackers to tell them what to say and how to say it. I mean, that feels like a perfect encapsulation. But then the question jumps to, so I asked if AI could replace doctors. AI could replace some of what doctors do some of the time. The thing that is getting less and less done by the medical profession is the thing that's hardest to do and most necessary for humans to do, which is diagnosis, which relies on not just objective lab tests and the readings from instruments, but engaging the human in front of you and watching their language, their body language, as they talk about this thing rather than that thing, and hopefully going to their home and seeing them interact with, their cat and their son, and seeing what is in their home and smelling whether or not there might be, a mold problem. Just like all of these things that an AI can't do.
Yeah, but doctors don't do it.
But they could.
Right. So there's a question about, could AI replace doctors? Most of them. There's also the issue of, even if the textual analysis
Mm-hmm.
Was completely compelling, right? Was as good or better as you would get from the best humans. A human being would do this with the use of consciousness. That might not be all they're doing.
Right.
But they would do it with the use of consciousness. And what if you could simulate that with computing power? In other words, that the way it was done was radically different, that it would come up with an answer that you would take to be meaningful because it was, but that it didn't have an experience of creating an answer. It didn't know that it had to come up with an answer. It just knew that it didn't know anything. It pixeled on a screen, right? And so the point is, is it human? Nope. Mm-hmm. It's not, because no matter how well it simulates a human, it isn't one.
Yeah.
Right.
And so embedded in that is, awareness of your own self, theory of mind, empathy, which is one of the things the AI responded with, and intuition. Intuition being an interesting one, because some large part of intuition is keeping decent records on what you've experienced before, such that when you experience something new, you end up having the right gut feeling about it, but it's actually based on past experience. So that part an AI should be able to do really well.
Yep.
But if you're talking about the amount of material that an adult human being has actually experienced, and the vast majority of it that has been almost immediately forgotten, and asking an AI to sort of remember everything and sort through everything, well, we don't have that computing power, right? So already there's some kind of act of forgetting that is coded into the AI, just like we have coded into us forgetting.
Yep.
That we have no choice about. And the human who has coded what shall be forgotten that the AI might be taking in, if it had access to every part of a human experience, which we don't have that yet either, would be a different human consciousness doing that. So it would still be indirectly human.
Yep.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is good.
And that's not human at all.
But it is a people.
How's that?
I don't know. We refer to them as people.
Do we?
I do. He's a good person.
Ah,
But I mean it in the,
yeah.
I don't mean he's a Homo sapiens.
No.
No, I just mean he's good people.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
You wouldn't accept most people doing that.
No, I really wouldn't.
Yeah.